Hey, it's Jason from Pro Guitar Studio, and today we're going to take a look at how to make music yourself with the minor pentatonic scale. Now, when we look at this, we can think of this as a minor pentatonic or a major pentatonic or any other scale. So I'm going to try to give you an idea of how to get started here. The piece that you just heard is a nice simple way to sort of get into understanding how to rearrange the notes from the scale itself, okay? But really what you're going to be trying to do here is to use your ear. So try to use that ear to listen to what's going on and see if the notes sound good or bad, okay? So first I'm going to teach you the piece, and we'll also look at the minor pentatonic scale shape, which we're doing here. So I'm using the C sharp minor pentatonic. So we'll start there and sort of work our way into the piece that I'm talking about, or that we just heard. And then we'll talk about how to rearrange the notes to make music for yourself. So you can do this without any backing track or without anything in the background, or you can try to find a piece of music to play over. So I'll include a piece of music in this lesson today so you'll be able to hear it, and you'll be able to go through and actually play along with the track that I used to make the initial piece that we're going to play, okay? So just to dive in here, the C sharp minor pentatonic, the reason why I'm using this, it's not anything special, but I like to move things around the fretboard. So, I mean, a lot of people do A minor quite a bit, which is from the 5th fret, B minor. And today we're looking at this C sharp minor because I use this quite often. It's either C sharp minor or E major, okay? So that key is quite common for the guitar. We're using an E major chord. This is the pentatonic shape that would be applicable or relative to that chord. So it's quite often used, and it's something good to actually get under your fingers. So we're gonna start on fret number 9 on the low E string, fret number 12, same string. On the A string, we're gonna do fret number 9, fret number 11, D string is fret 9, 11, G string is fret 9, 11, the B string is fret 9, 12, and the E string is 9, 12. So we're going to have 9, 12, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9, 12. Reverse that is 12, 9, 12, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9. So that's the general overview of the C sharp minor pentatonic scale. But the cool thing is, once you know that, you can move it around, okay? So this can be moved as a pattern, so we can go to the 5th fret, 2nd fret, and so on. So it's not as hard to move it around as it might look if you haven't played this before, okay? But starting off with our piece, we're going to take the same notes we just played and make a short melody. So I kept everything as quarter notes except the last note, which rings out for 5 beats total, I think. We're starting on the 9th fret, string number 1, twice, to the 12th fret, back to 9. And then that note rings out for that last beat of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Then we're gonna do the same thing on the next string. 9, 9, 12, 9. Next string is 9, 9, 11, 9. Then we're gonna do 11 on the 4th string, twice. Going to 9 on the 3rd string, 11 on the 4th string. And then we do the same thing on string number 5. 11, 11 to 9 on the 4th string, back to 11. And then the thickest string is 9, 9, 12, 9. So we have this. Okay, so pretty straightforward. And what I'm trying to show you is that we can take that scale, instead of just playing it straight up and down, we can actually rearrange the notes into something that sounds good over a particular chord progression or chord set. So the 2 chords I was playing there, not too important as you're playing with this. Really, I want you to try to use your ear, but I was playing C sharp minor and A major, okay? Just to give you an idea of what we were working with there. And so all the notes that sounded good that I was ringing out on ended up being in the chord. But when you're first starting out making this stuff, it's too hard to think of all the theory behind it. So like knowing the notes that are in the chord, all this stuff that can come easily later on. So at first, I think it's the best to try to use your ear, try to hear what sounds good and what sounds bad. And what you're trying to do at first is trying to experiment and basically make some small phrases that you can repeat over and over. So the biggest mistake that I see when someone starts to improvise or trying to make up their own music is that they're constantly making new stuff. So instead of playing something and refining it until it sounds good and they can repeat it over and over, they just keep playing new things. And so when you do that approach, it can feel fun at first, right? And it is fun. And you'll hear a lot of talk about the the end result or the end goal of being a good improviser, right? So be able to make stuff up on the spot, like just be able to play something without having any predetermined notes in mind. But in my opinion, that's the end result of a lot of practice in terms of songwriting or melody writing. Okay, so to become a really good improviser, first you need to be able to play these notes comfortably. You need to be able to make up phrases that sound good. So if you don't know how to make up a phrase that sounds good while you're working and refining on it, how can you do that in the moment on the fly? It's almost impossible. So you need to get comfortable first and just trying to make stuff, and it's okay, just trying to remind yourself or remind you that it's okay to not improvise and not make things up all the time. Just try to refine a set of notes that sounds good over a given chord progression, right? So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pull up that same track and just give you an idea of the notes that are there and which ones sound good, which ones sound bad. And then you can take this, try to practice over that track, and make up some small phrases. So the idea is not to make some big phrase like I was playing to Sarah. And so at the end of the piece at the beginning, I went into some improvisation, okay, to show you what that sort of sounds like. But the first 6 sequences, those are all predetermined. I wrote those in advance. And those are going to sound better. Any good solo that I write, I can improvise it. But in the end, I keep refining it over and over, and I make something up. So usually it starts out like an improvised solo, but I'll keep going over and over and over it. And then from there, I make something up that sounds good because I memorize it, right? I memorize what sounds good. So start off by trying to find notes that sound good. Memorize, when you started those notes, like where do they come in? Which beat are you starting on them? How long does the note last for? How many notes are you going to play in total? What notes are they, right? So knowing all that kind of stuff so that you can repeat it over and over. And so what I mean by repeat it is play the exact same thing as many times as you need to. So like this. Trying to play that just over and over on time with the track. And that is, in my opinion, the best way to become good at writing and in turn become good at improvising. Okay, so at first I'll say the most important thing is to learn how to make music out of the guitar instead of trying to play, we'll say play songs that are pre-written, which is great. It's one of the best ways to learn is to try to learn other pieces of music that have been played before, right? But if you want to try to make your own music, you got to start somewhere. So just trying to find notes that actually work well together. So here, I'm going to jump to me just playing over the track, and I'll try to explain which notes sound good, which ones sound bad. Be right back. All right, so now that we're set up here, I'm just going to start playing this track. And within this scale, you're going to notice that some notes will sound good to bring out, and some notes won't sound as good, okay? So that's what I want you to try to use your ear first, and I'll just give you an example, okay? Now, depending on the chord that we're on as well, some notes will sound better over one chord than over the other. And that's just the nature of it because we're changing chord tones. But I'll try to give an idea here of how everything sounds. So I'm going to loop this progression. So we'll start here. Pretty nice, right? Here. Good. It sounds good, but it wants to go somewhere. That sounds really good. How about this one? Wants to go somewhere as well. There they go. It sounds like it needs to leave that spot, right? There, that sounds great. How about this one? Really nice. Good, right? Nice. All right, so pause that there. So basically what I'm trying to do there is trying to hear which notes sound good and which ones sound a bit off. So when you're making a phrase, you want the note that rings out to have a nice feel with the track. And what that typically means in theory is that it's actually part of the chord. Okay, so the note is part of the chord tone. In this case here, I don't want you to think too much about that in detail, but trying to use your ear to hear what sounds good. So if we had, let's say 4 notes like we did there, we can rearrange them in many different ways. So as you get started with this exercise, you can play them like that, up. So start with 4 notes as you go through it. So take a listen here. Will it come in the next time? 2, 3, 4. I can go like. It sounds good, right? As long as the last note sounds good. Nice, that worked out. How about this one? Pretty good, yeah. All right, so the cool thing is that because we're in the same key here, And the pentatonic scale is only 5 notes. So within the same key, those 5 notes, a lot of them work out pretty well over these chords. There's not too many notes that are just like terrible. The one note that would be the worst would probably be the F sharp, because over the C sharp minor, it's the 11th. Well, in this case here, we'll call it a note that's not in the chord, just to make it simple. And the same note over top of the A is going to be a 6. So that in each of those, it's not in the chord. And the F sharp note is the 11th fret on string number 3, or the 9th fret string number 5. But aside from that, a lot of those notes can sort of be played, and they sound pretty good. They work. Okay, so as you're making your phrase, try to keep it simple at first. Like let's say 4 notes, and repeat it over and over until you get it down. Then you can try 5 notes, 6 notes, and just try to make up phrases that you can repeat. Like I said, you can play over and over and take it from there. So use my exercise to start off, nice 4-note exercise. You can use that thing I just did there with the 4 notes and try to get some ideas from what I was playing. But biggest thing is experiment. Play along with a backing track or another guitarist, right? As much as you can, and this will get you started. And you gotta just commit to keep trying as you go through it, because it can be sort of frustrating and challenging at first. But if you like the idea of making your own music up, this is a great way to start out. And then get into making your own riffs and a whole bunch of things in there. But start out with the pentatonic scale like we're doing here, and it's a pretty foolproof way to get started. And I'll include the backing track in the link, in the lesson description. So I'll include that backing track link in the description for this video. Okay, so just check that out, play along with it, and I hope you have fun. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this each week, and I'll see you soon.